Well, guys, what's good? Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Stage. This week, I have KidLiquid, who a lot of you will not have known or know about or have seen his face. You actually know, that's a lie. If you've been to US majors, you'll probably have seen his face at a few events, but you don't know what he does. So, KidLiquid. What do I call you, Chris? What do you fancy?
Doesn't really matter. People have a mixture of both.
Cool.
Odd.
So, KidLiquid, Chris, for those that don't know you, please introduce yourself.
Hi, so I'm Chris. I've been working in esports, wow, over 10 to 15 years at this point. I worked for various companies, whether it was your everyday esports orgs, like FlyQuest and CLG and things like that, or stuff like your regular kind of fighting companies like Blizzard or Riot, and now Evo. And so, yeah, I've done a variety of things over the years, whether it's community management, communications, which are what I do now, social media. And so, yeah, my main goal is to sort of take what our company wants to say and put it out into the world. And it's a mix of it's a mixture of things, but I enjoy it quite a bit.
Cool. So I think the first time I met you was officially last year, 2023, at Combo Breaker.
Yeah, we'd had a lot of interactions online before. We hadn't met in person.
No, yeah. So online.
2022. It's been a couple of years now.
2022?
Like
was you working with Tish?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My apologies then. That's my bad.
No.
So yeah, we've spoken online numerous times. The wonderful world that is the wonderful technology that is the internet. Get to speak to everyone everywhere. But meet you in person, 2022. Properly talking to you in 2023. Managed to get myself a little notebook. If you know, you know.
No.
Won't go there. But a notebook is good, handy. And yeah, you basically run the socials or social media for Combo Breaker and Evo.
Yeah.
And
so, yeah, before that, doing stuff again for Riot and Blizzard, and then, Twitch, and I even did a little bit stuff with ESRB and all kinds of places.
So you have a very varied background in the gaming sphere, not just fighting games, but the gaming sphere as a whole. You've been around, you've seen a lot of big companies, brick and mortar. I'm assuming you're hyped for 2XKO?
I am, honestly. Like, it's something that even when I was at Riot, it was like the fighting culture at Riot is great. There's a lot of people that love fighting games, and like watching that get spun up and like seeing the evolution of that game. I don't think this is a big surprise. I think a lot of people have known this, but like this version of 2XKO is like the third or fourth version of it that I've seen.
Oh damn.
They've been working on this for a while, and so finally seeing people see it and seeing it in people's hands, I'm very excited.
Good. I'm glad, because yeah, it looks fun. Discourse aside of anti-cheat and console and whatever, I'm looking forward to trying it out. The alpha's coming out soon. As we record this, we've got like 2 days before the alpha drops.
Yeah, 2 days for alpha.
Yeah, so excited. Hopefully I get a code. I'm getting in there, try it all out, because it definitely looks fun. But the reason I got you on is because you are currently the social media manager of Combo Breaker and Evo. And Combo Breaker this year, and CEO even, I think you made a couple of videos for Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, about the telling of a story of these fighting game events, which is a lot harder than people think.
Yeah, I think in general, people have a misunderstanding of what social media and like communication in general is. We always talk about how the meme or the idea of the intern running your social media accounts has sort of hurt the career path, or sort of hurt the image of what the job is. Where it's a lot more difficult than that. There's a lot more to balance. I wouldn't say it's hard in particular. I think it's tricky it's trickier than people realize to keep everything cohesive and keeping a brand unique and keeping a brand voice alive throughout your social coverage, right? And so what I mean by that is like, I think I brought it up in one of the videos, but it's the idea that when you look at Combo Breaker or when you look at CEO or you look at Evo, it's very easy for all of those to look and feel the same from a perspective of, oh, it's a feed that has clips and the gameplay. And again, gameplay, the overlay is going to be slightly different. But then again, when you look at especially fighting games, when you look at the overlay is maybe 10% of the screen, but the main part of the game is 80% of the screen. And that's all going to be the same throughout the entire broadcast, right? Between all three tournaments, all three of those tournaments have very distinct personalities and vibes and tones. So how do you keep that uniqueness and how do you translate that into a social timeline, right? So use that with copy, with photos, with the way that you're posting or maybe posting cadence, that kind of stuff, right? And so having that in mind when you're posting and keeping that in mind when you're trying to build out this timeline is really important.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Like when you break it down, yeah, the logos that you see on a clip is basically is 5-10% of the actual screen resolution. CEO, Combo Breaker, Evo, doesn't matter what event it is, it's always going to be pretty much in the same location, which kind of sucks. Some people do change it up, and that's perfectly fine, but the rest is obviously the fighting game you're watching. Street Fighter, Tekken, Smash, whatever it is. Sorry, I called Smash a fighting game.
That's exactly where we want it, right? We want the focus on the games and the competition and everything else, right? But the secondary aspect of that is how do you make sure your brand is coming across in the right way?
Yeah.
And people are connecting these moments and these clips to whatever tournament they're being played at.
Yeah. And in a previous episode, I actually called yourself alongside Esteban and Tempest Rob. I called you three basically Team Cerberus. Like it's a three-headed dog of content. You've got photo, you've got video, you've got yourself posting. And I'm going to say, I'm assuming you are the guy posting on social media, on Evo, FGC, Instagram, Twitter, and not YouTube because that's run by Esteban. But those two main pages, and Threads even, that's all, those three places are mainly you posting it, or the team as such?
So I'm lucky enough in where I've taken a step above over the course of this last year. So I'm now the communications manager. So we have social media manager who's Cane Trip, who's Trevor. So Trevor, also my job directly before this was I was at Panda, helping build up Panda Cup and all that kind of stuff. And so once that situation went down, Rick pulled me over to Evo, and then we've been working ever since. But Trevor was my second in command over at Panda as well. And so I was able to pull him with me over to Evo and build out kind of this core staff. Now, again, I'm still the one kind of dictating and figuring out higher level strategic things and kind of what we're looking for and helping build out that timeline. But in terms of actually typing out the tweet and hitting send, is a combination of myself and Trevor.
Cool.
But again, it is a lot of collaboration in that way. Again, like there's a lot of discussion. So
yeah.
A perfect example of this, honestly, is like there's a tweet that went out during Evo this year, where it is a child in a Ryu cosplay with a parent or something like that, right? And the caption we ended up with was "Fighting games are for everyone," right? Which feels very celebratory. It feels very Evo.
Yeah.
The original copy idea for that Trevor and I were batting around was, man, third strike players are getting young, right? Or the extent of, well, I wonder who his third strike main is, right?
Fair.
Now, again, these are really funny, and they, again, also fit the context of the theme really well with the photo.
Yeah.
But that caption feels very Combo Breaker CEO rather than what Evo is, right?
Yeah.
And so as we were beating down that road, that was the realization that we ended up coming to of like, we got to scrap this and move on because that doesn't fit what we are. And so there's a lot of those discussions, right, where you have original copy where, yeah, this is really funny and it works, but then you run it through the filter of, is it Evo, right?
Yeah.
And so, again, those are conversations that are constantly happening. And again, I'm lucky enough to have Trevor with me where I can have those ideas and bat them back and forth, where it's not just us it's not just me spitballing and hoping something's right. I think a lot of times when you have something go wrong and you have a lot of social media posts that go wrong, it's someone posting on their own without checking with anyone else or without getting approvals first or anything like that. Yeah. And again, I'm very lucky in the fact that Rick and, sort of the team, the powers that be, trust me to have that final judgment. But I still like to have a team with me to check. And so like this year we had Dan C with us on
great guy
the social side. And so again, Dan is great. Is a great soundboard as well of like, is this going to work? Is this not?
Yeah.
And yeah, so that, again, having a team with you, I think is really important. So again, it takes, much like raising a child, it takes a village, right? And so you need to have all these people and these different perspectives to be able to do that, right?
Yeah. So between the three of you, that was the Evo social media team at the event.
Correct. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
And we also had we had a newer role this year that we brought on Bobby Wasabi as well to do some social video for us. Okay. So we had interviews with Zed Tabani, who's the music producer for all of the Evo soundtrack this year or the Evo album. And then we had some interviews with Brian from Paradise Arcades, Mark Band talking about the art gallery and the fight stick museum, all that kind of stuff. And so we had these extra little social hits that we were able to get with having a dedicated social videographer, right?
Yeah.
It's a role that I really wanted for a long time.
Filming vertical content.
Correct.
Yeah. I think that's the main thing I've learned with speaking to content creators or community managers is not just calling it the fad, a fad, but calling it what it is, vertical video content, because that is what is currently still the meta, I think is the right term.
It's interesting. So like I'm still of the belief that horizontal, like, your 16:9 is still critically important, but the idea that you're filming your 16:9 content with vertical in mind, and so you're able to multi-purpose use your content, right? So like when you look at a lot of the interviews we filmed in Vegas, and we have a lot of content coming that is more vertical focused.
Yeah.
But again, when you're looking at stuff that we filmed or stuff that we did, we put it on Twitter in that 16:9, but then we're able to go vertical for all the other platforms, for Reels, for Shorts, for all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just about getting the most out of it. Again, a lot of what we're doing, because budgets are tight, time is tight, you need to make sure you're maximizing the amount of content you're getting, right?
Yes.
So being able to multi-purpose use content in more than one place.
Yes.
Is really important. And so that's why, like, again, we spend a lot of time. Again, I want to thank Rick too for this, because we got really lucky where when Esteban and I were brought on to start sort of kick up the Evo Media team stuff, and start the YouTube channel and things like that. Like Esteban and I were brought on. So Rick messaged me in December when all the Panda stuff was happening.
Yeah.
That I was kind of told like this is probably happening probably in like February, and then I was officially brought on around April. And S1 and I were brought on around April, and we were given, like, we didn't launch the YouTube channel, or we didn't launch the Evo FGC YouTube channel until December. So we were given a good, 7-8 months to experiment and try stuff and make a roadmap and really like build this out.
Yeah.
And now again, in the middle of that, we had this thing called Evo Vegas that we were jumping into the middle of, right? That we had to sort of figure out on the fly, because we weren't. This year was different because we were in from the start, but jumping into the center of that mid-cycle was rough.
Nice.
We were all rough.
Yeah. You managed to survive, though. I mean, you're still here.
So we got it done. Again, last year was a little rough. This year, I think we did a little bit better. We can always do better next year. But yeah, I think So yeah, we were given this really long runway of like, cool, let's figure out what this looks like. Let's figure out what the content looks like. Let's figure out how these videos feel. Let's figure out what the brand voice is. Now, again, that's a lot of, it's not just me and Esteban, like it's a lot of conversation with Rick and with Mark and sitting there. When I first jumped on, it was literally, I had an initial document of like what I wanted to do. And then it was a good, I want to say 2 to 3 months of talking to Rick, talking to Mark, talking to, various community members about what Evo is to them, what it feels like, what it is, and nailing down what Evo is, what it wants to be, and then kind of what the brand voice is for Evo, right? And what the tone is, how to take this. And then again, like we've stayed pretty consistent since then. But it's this idea of, okay, Evo right now posts twice a year. It posts during Japan, it posts during Vegas, and it posts about these, maybe about the announcement show, right? That's really when Evo posts.
Yeah.
And so how do you take this account and make it a daily driver, right? How do you insert it back in as a daily part of the FGC and a daily part of the culture, right? And so that's, again, where you take the stabs of like the Justin Wong or the player quotes and the community quotes, right? And pulling from various things. That's when you take stuff like questions of the day. That's when you take stuff like using some of those backlog of photos that Rob has and some of the backlogs of video that S1 have, right? Like how to repurpose these and how to use these.
Yeah.
Right. Again, and again, we were able to take those 8 months and take stock of what we had, how we use it, how we insert ourselves into the daily culture, but not in a way that feels forced, but in a way that's organic and it feels very Evo.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think you guys have definitely hit that on its head as an outsider, because again, I'm not hired by Evo. I know you as a colleague in the esports industry, FGC and friend, but seeing what you guys post is amazing and awesome, and it's wholesome in the sense that you are part of the community. It's not just a nameless brand as such posting about, hey, look guys, I'm relevant in the scene, you should keep an eye on me. It's like, no, you are relevant, and because you have listened to what other people have said within the community to go, this is family friendly, so we're not talking about young first strike players, but fighting games for everyone.
No, 100%. And again, it's a thing of we want to, this is something that for me that I always take to heart, and this has been true anywhere that I've been, it's understanding the communities that you're serving, right? And so whether it's Riot talking about League of Legends, or at Blizzard talking about StarCraft 2, or whatever it is, whatever I'm working on, it's what community am I serving and how I best give them the content and the stuff that they want to see, right?
Yeah.
And understanding that it doesn't matter what I think is okay, or what it matters what the community is going to react to and what they're going to enjoy. Right?
Yeah.
And so it's always keeping that in mind. Now, again, the tricky part with something like Evo or even Combo Breaker is that there's so many different communities, right? And so like the Tekken community is very different than the Street Fighter community, and the SNK community is very different than the NRS community. And so how do we take all these different franchises and these different companies, these different, hey, even like the Strive community is very different than like the Exit community, right? Like there's niches here, there's pockets. And so how do you take something more general fighting community and fit it into these boxes, or give each one their shine one day at a time?
Yeah.
And so you're serving all these different people and making sure that, okay, hey, we've talked a lot about Street Fighter this week. Let's move next week and talk about King of Fighters.
Yeah.
So trying to get everyone in and making everyone feel welcome and making everyone feel like they're being represented in what they like and what they enjoy, I think is really important.
Definitely. And you've raised a few points through this conversation already. I'm going to go back slightly, because you said a few things. Yeah. First off, I want to throw a little bit of shade on the 2XKO social media channel. They're posting 16:9, but it's such a small crop, you don't see everything. If you could have a word with someone, that'd be amazing. But I'll throw that out there. That's whatever. Secondly, I just remembered where your second video was. It was at a One Piece trading card game. It was at. How's your collection looking?
Too much.
Too much.
The funny thing is, so that was at the first LA regional.
Okay.
At the crypto, or no, at the LA Convention Center.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did well. I went 7-3.
Nice.
Missed the cut, but it was all right.
Yeah.
I had a good time. Funny thing is, this weekend is the second One Piece regional in Pasadena, so it's a little further, but I'll be there, hanging out, having a good time. But then I'll be at nationals in a month with Katamari, with Zach, and with Vicious, with Jeremy. So I'll be there. We'll be in Dallas. Well, the three of us will be in Dallas for nationals in a month.
You guys are in deep.
We're in deep. I mean, like, you saw at Common Breaker, man. Like, we took over the bar. We took over everywhere. It's good. I think the funny thing that I always tell people is, like, the One Piece TCG, it's a really solid. Again, I've played a lot of card games. I play Marvel Snap still regularly. I played Magic. I played Yu-Gi-Oh. Played Pokemon religiously. The thing I will say is, like, the One Piece TCG would be solid as a TCG on its own without the IP.
Okay, that's strong words.
The IP, and it just takes it to, like, this other level, right? Yeah. And it's so good.
I mean, I think this is what Dragon Ball wanted back in the day.
Oh my god, you got to do it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Dragon Ball had a trading card game. I don't think it ever took off as much as One Piece did, which is kind of crazy.
The Dragon Ball trading card game is actually really popular.
Yeah.
The one that came out a couple of years ago is actually really popular.
Okay. This is now just showing up my knowledge of having no idea of trading card environment.
Do it, man.
No, I used to play Magic. I had a box of Magic cards. I've got a binder for the rares that I still need to sell from 20 years ago. It's been 25 years since I last touched trading card games. I'm not doing it ever again.
Jump back in.
No.
Again, it's time.
It's not time. It's really not. No. Maybe. No. My second segue question, which is unrelated to social media really, is what's your K-pop track at the moment?
Oh.
Completely in field here.
No, so look, so there's two. There's two that I have, like, constantly on repeat.
Okay.
So there's Magic by Nayeon.
Okay.
It's one of her solo tracks. So Nayeon from Twice has a new album out. So
yes.
There's Magic, but that Magic features Julie from Kiss of Life, which that song is great. So there's that song, and then Weird Deep Cut. So right now, aespa is on a concert tour.
Yes.
And so Karina does this song in the tour called Up. And it's her first, like, solo track. And it's awesome. But she only performs it live at the concert. So every recording that we have of it is, like, from a concert recording. But the song is awesome. I'm hoping after the concert tour ends that they release they'll probably release track after the concert tour. But the only time she performs it is at the concert tour.
Okay. I'll keep an eye out for that one then, because that sounds interesting.
Yeah, so those are the two, I would say, like, if anyone wants to listen to K-pop, those are the two that I've been listening to.
Cool. Interesting. I will definitely look into those, because, aespa, they were in London recently. Some of my friends went. If it was aespa, I can't remember, honestly. It's like, we had Stray Kids as well.
The only one I can think of that's, like, actively touring right now, so it's most likely them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and we also had Stray Kids 2 weeks ago, because we had the British Summertime Festival in Hyde Park. People were feral. Yeah, I don't know. They were at Lollapalooza weekend just gone. So yeah, they're currently touring, but I've heard they've got a world tour going, announcing soon the world, but obviously Asia and America first, and everywhere Europe basically being announced in January, I think. That's the rumors. But K-pop aside, because this is not about K-pop, this is about your role.
We can go get Justin. We can have a K-pop podcast if you want.
Oh no, that might be a bonus episode. I'm gonna be down. I'm down to be taught.
If you want to make the last two topics together, me and Justin Wong were trading K-pop photo cards.
Oh no. Oh no. I'm not in that deep. I listen, but I'm not trading. I'm not trading photo cards. Not yet. I say yeah. I'm not doing photo cards. Right. So this question might be a bit weird. because you're the social media guy, manager even. Sorry, apologies. Head of. So, what would you think people would most know you for? Like, what post have you done that has done the most hits? I'll twist it around so that it helps.
Oh no. So this is a deep cut. This is honestly like one of the most proud. I'll switch this around because this isn't the most popular thing I've ever tweeted.
Cool.
But it's the thing I'm most proud of, which is so at the height of COVID, well, maybe not the height of COVID, it's the wrong thing to say. But around COVID,
yeah,
I was working for Twitch at the time. So Twitch used to do these videos. I don't know if they do them anymore. I haven't checked in a while. They used to do like compilation videos about like what a certain topic. So like, Final Fantasy Remake is out. Let's do a compilation of people playing Final Fantasy Rebirth or Remake.
Yeah.
And so we did one that had Max in it and like a whole bunch of other people. And so we cut it together. It's great. Shout out to Sour Patch Senior, her name's Cassie Porn, who's a fantastic editor. She worked with me at 100 Thieves, Twitch. I pulled her everywhere. Panda, and then now she's doing some contract work with us for Evo.
Nice.
But anyway, there's a video that we did. I wanted to do a video on rollback netcode when fighting games, because that was like the conversation of the time.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was trying to convince everyone. I was like, let me do this video. They were like, I don't know, but I don't get it. Why the netcode? Why this? And I was like, the people that get it will get it. Don't you gotta trust me.
Yeah.
And so we pulled clips from Sajam talking about rollback netcode. Maximilian playing Max is playing Power Rangers or KI. He's playing KI.
Okay, yeah.
And then Corey was playing, or the Corey gaming crew was playing them fighting herds, and then we had a video of Sajam playing Power Rangers. So we put that all together, compiled it together, and then they're like, "What? I don't even know." They were like, "I don't know what this even is. Like, what do we put at the copy?" And I was like, "The copy is, don't delay. Rollback is the way. Just tweet that." And they're like, "I don't get it." I was like, "Don't worry about it. Just tweet it." And so we tweeted it, and it literally went all over within the FTC, just everywhere. And it was one of the most popular posts of Twitch for that year. And so like I was proud of that, because that was one that I like fought for, and no one internally understood other than me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I need you guys to just trust me on this and like let me do this to have this. And it paid off. It was just a thing of, I wanted to do this. I had a fun idea, and it was one of the like examples of like something that I fought for that like I knew would work. I just needed to give the opportunity to have it work.
Yeah. And luckily Twitch said yes and just went with it. And I've got to find that video now.
I've worked with teams and worked with good enough people to like, when I had an idea, this is the thing that's with Panda too, that like I stayed at Panda a little later than a lot of people left during the initial like, I'm out of here. And I was like, I stayed a little later because I wanted to take care of the team that I was trying to get as many people out as possible. And like, again, I've been around long enough where I was starting to get job offers and starting to get stuff sent to me. And so I already knew, I was talking to Rick, and that Evo was going to be my number one option if I had a chance to go there.
Yeah.
So I was starting to, and I knew if I announced that early that I wasn't going to, the job offers and people calling me were going to stop. And so I stayed a little longer just so that I could get these job offers and then hand them off to people within the company.
Yeah. So you
because again, having a group of people that went around with my dumb ideas all the time and like just trusted me on stuff, like I felt an obligation to help this family that we had built get out and
100%. Yeah, no, definitely, because that's a noble thing to do, because some people will just go, well, the ship's sinking. I'm gonna look out for number one. I'm out.
And no, I don't blame anyone that did that.
No, of course. Everyone's got different circumstances, but yeah.
I just felt an obligation to all of these people where I had a dumb idea at 2 a.m. and popped into a Slack channel, and all of them were like, "Yeah, I'm in." And I was like, "There's a certain amount of like ride or die that they had with me that I was like, I got to be ride or die here and help them out and get out of here."
100%. No, I respect that so much. And you mentioned Panda and the whole situation there. I know what happened with Panda, but for those listening, if we could give like a quick breakdown of what happened with Panda.
No, there's a quick breakdown of what happened. Essentially, what happened was Panda obviously had partnered with Nintendo to do Panda Cup, which was a circuit for Super Smash Brothers, Melee and Ultimate. And so yeah, we had gotten through that. That's another thing too. That was a tricky project to handle of like whatever. We'll get into that later, but we can get into that later. But the idea was like, yeah, we went ahead and ran the circuit, and things were running pretty well. We were getting ready to run the finals. Funny enough, we had planned a trip to Disneyland. Like a lot of us had planned a trip to Disneyland of like, cool, we're all going to be in LA for the finals. Let's go like calm before the storm. Let's go celebrate the fact that we got through this chunk of it and then go to Disneyland, and then we'll have the finals and we'll have a good time.
Yeah.
So when the news broke, all of us were at Disneyland.
Oh, shit.
Which was fun to
bet.
experience with everyone. But anyway, what happened was our number one competitor, which we didn't really see as a competitor really, it was Smash World Tour.
Yes.
Put out this long statement about how Panda, and in particular Alan, our CEO, had sort of strong-armed the community into doing all of this other stuff and basically pushing them out.
Yeah.
And so the community obviously turned and then was very anti-Panda, and a lot of death threats were sent various ways, and a lot of stuff happened. And so the company was basically forced to basically collapsed overnight, essentially.
Yeah. Honestly.
And so, yeah, that's essentially the best way I can put it. Now, again, I know a lot of stuff that was in that statement and a lot of stuff that was twisted. And I'm not going to get into what was right or wrong in that statement. But again, it's a lot of stuff that was unfair, and a lot of stuff that was conjecture, and a lot of stuff that was misunderstandings and things like that. Again, I've chalked up the whole situation to a lot of different people making assumptions and a lot of different people not communicating directly with each other and being able to talk to each other, which caused a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And that caused the collapse of Panda. A lot of people were affected. You managed to get a lot of people out, it seems, which is amazing. And you've luckily landed on your feet as well, by joining Evo, being on the Evo team. So,
looking at, it's funny, I've talked about it since, but like looking at the amount of talent that we had stacked at Panda, there's a lot of people there, a lot of talented people there. And so watching everyone kind of spread out, and yeah, a lot of people, there's some people that did not land on their feet, which I feel really bad about. And I've still tried to help a lot of people get gigs and get better. But watching the majority of people land on their feet and spread out, I think we've done a lot of good for the community with us not all being together. But then we still have those bonds, right? And so it's caused a lot of interesting partnerships and like relationships where like, oh, these two companies are partnering together because of these two former Panda employees, and I'm like, oh, that's very cool to see. Right?
Yeah, that's amazing. That's family ties. That's legit what a community should be sometimes, or should be all the time. Like, people move around, it happens. Jobs aren't for life anymore, especially the 9 to 5. Those days are gone. Like, you work a job 3-4 years, 5 years max, maybe, and then you move on. But the people you meet, the family you create working those jobs, they, if they're any good, should stay for a lifetime.
100%. And the thing I will say is, like, the esports industry is small.
Yes.
And so again, that's why I'm very lucky that there's not a lot of people that don't like me, because of you. Like, I'm very lucky that I've met a lot of good people and made a lot of good relationships that I can, like at my wedding, a lot of people that were in my wedding were people that I met in the esports industry, right? And so like having that kind of relationship is always good.
Yeah, 100%. It's wonderful to see and hear that everyone was a lot of people at your wedding were esports related as such. I've been to a wedding that was in the gaming community, and a lot of them were affected by recent layoffs. This was like middle of last year. Just
it's rough.
The Ubisoft like layoffs have rippled across the world, and that was an interesting wedding. Like, are you okay? Not really, but we're at a wedding, so it's all good. We're gonna have fun. Like, yeah. So yeah, that is shit just happens, and yeah, it sucks on the redundancies part and the industry imploding on itself right now. But yeah, going back to Evo and Combo Breaker even, you built out a team. Evo was 3 people. You mentioned Trevor, you mentioned Dan C, again, great guy, and yourself. You also talked about like proofing the commentary, the text for posts, and you mentioned having a time limit. How long is that time limit normally?
It depends, right? Like for something like Evo, there's like set things that can't move, right?
Yes.
It's and again, like the thing I think I want people to understand is like the idea that the social timeline is always fluid, right? But there's set things that need to go out. So like, hey, top 6 just started for Street Fighter 6. Okay, that tweet of the announcement needs to go out. So for Combo Breaker, we tweet out the bracket usually. Like, here's the top 6, here it goes. Or here's the top 8, sorry. There's a top 8 for Combo Breaker. Okay, Street Fighter top 6 is starting for Evo. Okay, cool. We usually tweet out the intro and whatever the custom beautiful intro that Esteban and his team has made.
Yeah.
And so, cool, we'll tweet that out. Great. Those need to go out right when they go live and right when it goes out because that's important. We need to get people in the door and make sure they know that it's happening.
Yeah.
Cool. And then for Evo, it's typically we post the winning moment of every match. Now, again, we do more if there are more hype moments and things like that. Like Hayao is a perfect example where we're posting like 6 clips of Hayao because he kept every time we were posting something, he was doing something else.
He was your dream, basically. Like,
100%. You just keep going.
Yeah.
But again, we do updates after the ones that are static that don't change or after every matchup. It's so and so won, they're moving on, right?
Yeah.
Just so you can keep in and keep going. So those don't move. Then it's the idea of what do you fill those gaps with? So they could be sponsored posts. They could be they partnered posts, right? So whether it's like Chipotle or Sony InZone or anything else, right? We could fill with those. We could fill, and again, all of that comes down to conversation with our partners and conversations with what's going on with our partners and things like that. And our sales team and things like that. The other thing we have to realize is like we're getting a lot of great photos from Rob. So Rob and his team are running around taking photos as well. You've worked with them as well. You understand and you've been a part of like how talented they are. And so, yeah, they're constantly dropping us photos. Okay, great. Here's a great shot of Sonic Fox after he won that match. Okay, great. But let's fill that in here and fill in this gap here, right? So at the peak of it, like, so counting, we actually counted out the amount of posts we did this year. We had posts going out every 5 to 10 minutes.
And Evo is 9 a.m. till like
9 to 10 or 11, depending on the day.
Yeah.
But then again, remember, we're also tweeting opening and closing before and after the show.
Yeah. So
it usually starts around 8 a.m. to about midnight of like when our time is to post. We're posting, again, we posted about over 950 times over the course of the weekend. So, it's every 5 to 10 minutes, essentially.
Yeah.
Now, again, a lot of that stuff comes from talking with our partnerships team, right?
Yeah.
Saying, okay, cool. Here's what we owe our partners. Here's the stuff that our partners want to see. Okay, great. Let me go ahead and build that out. And we build what I call the matrix, and we build out we we build out the framework of, okay, cool. Here are the building. I call it the Tetris board, right? You
Sure.
fill up. Here are the blocks that are coming at us that we need to fit in certain places now, right? So then you fill in all you put into place the pillars of your timeline.
Yeah.
So it's your top sixes. It's your cosplay contest is happening now. All of the announcement stuff. Oh, here's the pillars. Let's slot in the partnership stuff where they go, where we can fit in, where there's not too many next to each other, where they're not conflicting, where you're not overloading people with sponsored, content all the time. Okay, great. Then let's then you fill in those gaps with the extra stuff, right? You fill in with the photos, you fill in with the whatever. So you have the gaps of time built in.
Yeah.
But again, that's when you're working with the rest of your team. So while someone's working on this partner post, while someone's clipping this, I'm looking through the photos and looking and seeing, okay, what's Rob giving me?
Yeah.
Or what's Esteban giving me? What am I getting from so-and-so? What am I getting from here? Oh, this clip just happened on this stream? Okay, cool. Let me pull this in here and fill this gap for 30 minutes from now.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's where you're starting to build up this timeline. So where you're asking how much time do you have? It depends. And you need to be able to be flexible enough to say, like, okay, so for example, this year, spoilers, I wanted to bring back, one of my goals for this year was to bring back, so sure you can, there used to be an account called Sure You Can Stats.
Okay.
That's our case stats.
Yeah. Yes.
Where they used to bring in stats during Evo. You show kind of like, I call them tournament snapshots. That's what I named it for this year.
Okay.
It was tournament snapshots. And so essentially what it was it was a grid. It was a graphic that was a grid of 25 names, whether that was top seeds or notable names of players that you would know, that people would know.
Yeah.
For each game. And so essentially what it was after every phase of the bracket, whether it was after round 1 pools, after round 2 pools, after semifinals, whatever, I would update this bracket or update this graphic with whether or not the person made it out of their pools, whether they're winners or losers, and then who they may have lost to. So and then post them after every phase of the tournament for each game.
Okay.
So, hey, if you weren't watching Tekken, you could look at the tournament snapshot and go, oh, I know all the names on this list. Oh, half of them are in losers. What's going on at Tekken? And then you tune in.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a good way of getting you up to date on what's happening within that tournament at a glance.
That's cool.
Right? The problem was I had to cut it very early because there was no way in hell. It took me 30 minutes to update King of Fighters after round 1 pools.
Oh, no.
Right? So now you're talking about updating 8 of these, keeping track of 8 of these, and updating them 4 to 5 times throughout the day.
No, impossible. Or a bigger team, which you don't have the budget for.
A bigger team, which was essentially what it was. But for the team that we had and the setup that we had and things that were going on during the show, having myself be locked down to a chair for Photoshop for 30 minutes at a time to do these was not going to happen.
No.
And so we just ended up not posting because, again, Trevor and I both have a very strong thing of once we start something, we don't stop it.
Yeah. Okay.
So, like, once we commit to doing something, we make sure it happens for everything.
Consistency.
Yeah, it's really important to me. It's important to him.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's this thing of, I walked over to her. I was like, we need to cut this. Like, I was like, I know it messes up with the schedule a little bit, but like, we're going to need to figure it out because there's no way in hell.
Yeah.
And again, we did. And again, it's something that, again, in the same vein, we did the road to the top 6s, right? Which is in the similar vein of, it takes a long time to look up the information and figure out, A, just getting everything formatted correctly, but B, figuring out where's everyone from, what are their handles, what was the set score, all that kind of stuff, and going all the way back with going through Start GG for everyone. and everyone's opponent, right? Down to round 1 pools. Doesn't matter. This random person that doesn't have a Twitter account, where are they from? Right?
Oh, good Lord. I mean, I had a tweet, not recently, but recently enough, this year at least, was about Start GG and players in general. Link your socials to Start GG when it works. Please just link your socials, link your Twitter, link your X, whatever. And if it doesn't have an Instagram option, have it in your bio on Twitter X. Because what I've seen for fighting games, at least fighting game community, is that Instagram is underused outside of clips. Like, cool, you posted your tech on Reels, whatever, but the photos Rob, the team I take, like, we post them everywhere, but we can't tag you because you don't exist to us in Instagram. So just link it on your social media. Like, people need social media.
100%.
It's crazy.
But it's a thing of like, because again, I'm making the graphics, so I need to know, Fire Fiend 69, where is he from? I was like, Punk played him round 1 pools. Where is he from? And so I need to go through and look through socials, and like, he didn't have, I forget what his name was, but he didn't have socials, he didn't have anything. So I was like, okay.
He is a complete ghost.
Well, I Googled the handle, and I went back, I looked through, like, what other events they had attended.
Yeah.
And eventually found through, like, all of these random events that, like, he attends local Ontario tournaments. So I was like, he's from Canada. Okay, great. But, like, that takes 5-10 minutes to do when I got to get this out in 20.
Yeah.
So, that's sort of the headache that you're dealing with, right?
Yeah. And again, before even Start GG might have a meltdown in between you doing all this research.
Yeah, 100%. It did. We had some outages. We had some crowd
for every time.
So, like, that's happening. So again, not too bad for. Obviously not for. We didn't have any top 6s on Friday this year, but Sunday not bad because everything is already set.
Yeah.
The tough part is on Saturday, where King of Fighters obviously starts the show out. So I was able to prep it on Friday night.
Yeah.
But like Third Strike, Mortal Kombat, and what's the last game? Uni.
Yeah.
All of those are top 6 locking as we're leading into them.
Yeah.
So right when they lock, I have to sit down to make these, to make it in time to get the graphics ready for broadcast and ready for the show.
Yeah.
Or ready for the socials.
And that's so fluid, you have little chance of preempting a lot of it.
Yeah. So we need to make sure that, again, like, we're ready to go, that I have the time set of like, cool, top 24 just ended. I need to sit down to make this happen. And again, committing to it to make sure that it happens. Now, again, we go behind on some stuff. Maybe some stuff comes out a little later. That's okay. We need to make sure it happens.
Yeah. That's the key. Like, making sure it does happen, like being consistent. We're only human. Mistakes will happen. You can say it will never happen, but mistakes will happen only because we're human, not because it's you or the team. It's just a fact of life. So you shouldn't be too hard on yourself. Like, it sucks, but suck it up, move on. Like,
and again, it's being flexible, right?
Yeah.
And being able to understand, okay, this isn't working. How do we make it work, right?
Yeah.
And what's going to make it work? And so again, like, we also, like, my team and myself in general, I made all of the thumbnails for the YouTube channel.
Oh shit!
So as the VODs were going out, I was also making the thumbnail. And so we were getting, I don't know if you guys noticed, we were getting the top 8 VOD or the top 6 VODs up within, almost right after they happened.
Yeah. Like, I woke up to basically day 2, day 3 of Evo Vegas. And I'm calling it Evo Vegas right now because you've just announced Evo EU, France, Nice. There's obviously Evo Japan. But yeah, I woke up like after day 1 with, we've got top 8s to watch already. Sweet. I don't need to fry and trawl through Twitch's horrible VOD program or UI, and I can watch it on YouTube, which is a lot nicer, personally speaking. So
we had them up within 10 to 15 minutes of the match happening. We had them up.
Yeah, and that's a different topic of conversation, I think. of content vultures, which I won't go into right now.
Yeah.
A sad fact of life, but sometimes you do have to beat them at their own game, and puts more pressure on you making thumbnails and uploading content as soon as possible. Question for you, a side question. Esteban doesn't like the word content. He doesn't like saying he creates content. He creates stories.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
So I would agree with him that he creates stories. I think the content plays off of his stories. So I don't think what I do. I think as you string content together, it creates stories, right?
Cool.
And so I think that there is the umbrella of content is a little different, and the way people use it can be incorrect at times. But I do agree with him that our goal is to create stories, and we do so via the content.
Yeah,
which is a more correct and apt way of saying that.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Because I'm not taking photos to create content. I'm taking photos to create a story. You have that kid playing video games, and that's cool. Like, that's the next generation.
Yes.
Young folks.
And I do like the idea of content versus like videos or anything like that, because content can be anything. It can be, again, for me in particular, right, when I'm making social timeline, the content can be photos, videos, clips, whatever else, but I'm using it to tell a story, right, rather than what Esteban does, is which is these long form pieces that are beautiful and all kinds of stuff, right?
100%. Very well crafted. His episodes just before yours, so if you haven't watched that, go back and watch it. Also, thank you for watching this. Like and subscribe. I keep forgetting to do that. I keep telling my old podcast, Sam, that he never did that, and I had to cut in ads for this, but so I'm still learning. It's a horrible mess of thing. But so Evo team of 3, Combo Breaker was a team of 3 as well.
Yes, Combo Breaker was a team of 3. It was myself, Trevor, and then we had Jasmine in. Kuro.
Yeah.
Again,
she's great.
No, they're great. I mean, so I think ideally for a social team, it's a minimum of 4.
Okay.
But obviously, like budgetary reasons and things like that, you have to cut things down and make things work.
Yeah.
But I think ideally you'd have a team of 4, and then a 5th person that's like a videographer or a design or graphics person.
Okay.
To assist.
Yeah. So your ideal team of 4 is, not including the video graphics person, would be someone clipping
and watching the streams constantly.
Yeah.
Someone that is majority doing posting and copy.
Okay.
And then someone that's organizing the content coming in.
Okay.
So like, again, as Rob is dropping videos, as the videography team is giving us stuff, what do we have? Someone that's just taking inventory in stock, right? And then someone driving. Yeah.
You've got to have a head or manager, or whatever you want to call it, just to direct and help assist where possible, where needed. Right? Yeah. So that makes sense. Obviously, again, budgetary reasons, you can't sometimes have a team of 4 or even 5.
Right. So that person driving then pulls double duty and is able to kind of do multiple things to keep the ship running.
Yeah. And that is what a manager should be, in my eyes, in general, every day, whatever position, whatever team, company, job he does, the manager should be able to help out where needed, not just sit there and say, do this.
100%. It's a thing of, and again, I always feel bad because it's a thing of, especially for Combo Breaker and for Evo stuff, like Trevor is obviously the one doing the copy and the majority of posting. And so again, it's a lot of me going, what do you need right now?
Yeah.
Right. And again, it's a thing of, I'm still making sure that things are happening and making sure things are getting out, but I want to make sure that Trevor's taking, or that the people I'm working with are taken care of. Right.
Yeah.
yeah, whatever he needs, whatever role he needs me to fill in that moment, is what I'm going to fill for him.
Yeah.
So whether he needs me to go through the photos and look for something to grab him a photo because he needs this post to go out, great, let me go do that right now.
Yeah.
Whether it's going to talk to Rick about something timing wise and figure it out, yeah, okay, let me go do that right now.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's a matter of assisting where I can and making things as easy as possible for the people that are working and doing, whatever I can do to make everyone's lives easier is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that should be a mentality a lot of people should have if they don't. They don't, obviously that's not the case, but it's a personal mentality of mine as well in my day job, even in photography. As a behavior in myself, it's something like, what can I help? What can I do to help? I will always ask that question when I'm like working on an event. Even if I don't know how to do it, what do you need? Okay, I will go find someone to help you, or you need this stuff lifted. I have two hands and legs. I can pick it up and move it. It takes 2 seconds. It's not a problem. So building out a team then, how do you choose your team? Like, obviously you've got Trevor, you've worked with him before, so obviously that always plays a factor in choosing who you work with.
I would say like working with someone before is a huge factor, right? It's a trust factor. It's understanding, like, I know what this person can do. I understand their skill set within the pressures of the situation, right? I understand what they can do. The other thing is a lot of experiential stuff and a lot of like word of mouth stuff and things that, like, if I'm impressed with work that you've done before, I'm going to be more likely to say, yeah, let's go. I think the issue that I run into a lot, because a lot of people hit me up of like, do you need help with Vegas or need help with Evo or Combrick or whatever? They hit me up like the day before or like the week before. That's not the time to do that, man. Like this machine is rolling a month, 2 months in advance. Like you gotta, if you really want to work Evo, send me a message well in advance. I'm not saying to do that. Please don't do that.
There we go. Yeah, please.
Like if you want to start working these events and you have to start keeping in mind that like all of these teams are staffing up weeks beforehand. And the machine starts to roll really like a month or two before, where you start to really roll into the event. Yeah. I would say too that a lot of people don't. Making a social like resume or making a social portfolio is a little tricky.
Yeah.
But I would say being proud of the work that you're doing and being like, hey, this thing that's happening, it's me. I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Right. I think social media people really don't do that often because, again, a lot of social media people just want to do their work and go home. But I think being proud of your work and being able to say like, oh yeah, this is me. I can't tell you how many times I get messages of like, hey, do you know who runs socials for this? Or do you know who does this for this? And I'm like, yeah, that's so-and-so. And they go, cool, I want to hire them, but I didn't know who it was. I get that a lot.
I was going to say, like, because a lot of the social media, and I'm going to say interns, I'm sorry, they run a social media account for a company, a brand. They won't have their own name on it. It's very hard, in my eyes, to go who runs this without digging deep into that company.
Yeah.
So how
it gets tricky. And a lot of social people are contractors.
Yeah.
So like you don't really know necessarily. Like I know for Esports World Cup, I know a lot of people that they've brought on are contractors.
Yeah.
To do stuff. So like, if you love what's happening with Esports World Cup and the content they're doing and the social covers they're doing, you gotta finding out who they hired as the contractor is tricky. And so yeah, like not being afraid to put your name on something and saying like, cool, I'm proud to have done social coverage for this event or whatever. Yeah. I think is really important. I think too that a lot of people don't quite understand what social coverage is, and so like, or at least the scale of it, right? The jump in scale between helping your local versus working at Combo Breaker or Evo, right? And so a lot of people don't quite understand the jump in scale, and so they go, I guess I get a lot of messages that are like, hey, I want to help out with Evo. How do I do that? I was like, cool, what experience do you have? And they go, I help do socials for my local. And I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
You should probably start doing more bigger events around your area. So like, yeah, your local is great, but let's message the TO of your regional, of whatever your local regional tournament is, or like whatever it is, and then kind of get more experience of working with partners, working with your brands, working with different types of games. All that kind of stuff is really important. As much as the job is making cool stuff around fighting games and covering a tournament, again, once you get to this larger scale, it is a lot of balance between, cool, here's all of our partnered booth, here's all of our partnered posts, here's all of the timing stuff that we need to get done with all of these different events and all these different things that are happening, and all these different activations that are happening. So again, the balance of that and figuring that out, and then being able to pivot on the fly and produce when something needs to come out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure there. And like, again, I need to trust that you're not going to crumble as we get through the day, which is tricky.
It's very tricky, especially when these days are long, like an 18, 19, 20-hour day sometimes, because you're pulling in work after the fact that the event's shut for the day. Let's be honest.
It's hilarious. We had a couple of people pull me aside and be like, "Hey, you and Trevor okay?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "You guys were fighting." I was like, "We have this all the time. Don't worry. Like, you guys don't see it. We have this all the time." We were arguing about something going out, and he didn't want to cut it, and I was like, I wanted to cut it or something like that. We had this debate on whether or not to cut a piece of content, and I was like, well, no, for timing purposes, we need to cut. Like, it's too late. Yeah. And then so we had this, like, I won't say argument. We had this spirited debate.
Discussion
on it. You're right. But again, at this point, remember, this is a working relationship that me and Trevor have had for 5-6 years at this point. We've been through all of these battles.
Yeah.
And so again, we both know this isn't coming from any kind of personal place. This is coming from Trevor wants to make the best show he can, and I'm understanding that that's not going to necessarily happen in the way that he thinks it's going to happen.
Yeah. It's professionalism.
So, again, right. But again, people don't normally, we have these conversations in private or in a call with on a Tuesday, but now we're having it in the back room of a show floor.
Yeah.
In front of 10, 15 people. So like, again, these are conversations that are, I'm glad we have them because it means that we care about what we do, right?
Yes.
And so this is important for these conversations to happen. But again, it's funny to have, like, we moved on. Like, these are people are like, yeah, are you guys okay? Are you fighting or whatever? It's like, no, this is like really stupid.
That's normal. That's
all the time.
Yeah. I think I relate it to a press floor, or even like a broker's floor for currency exchange or whatever, like market floor, where people will be shouting, but it's shouting from either a place of love to an extent or professionalism, where you just want to you think this is the best thing that can go out, and the editor or whoever goes, yes, this is great, but we can't do it right now. It's got to go. Just drop it. I've just finished watching season 1 of The Bear.
Oh, it feels like a kitchen.
It's a kitchen. It's honestly like a kitchen. Like, the head chef, sous chef, like, you two can and will fight and have disagreement, but it's only because you guys care. And eventually one of you will have to give and go, cool, move on. We've still got service. Like, we've got mouths to feed and bills to pay. We've just got to do the job. Like, again, it's
100%. And again, like, we've been doing this long enough where, I mean, I will say this. The media room at Combo Breaker is one of the most special environments I've ever been around. And you've been in that room.
Yes, I have.
You understand, like, the camaraderie and the talent, I would say the talent, the camaraderie, the amount of
love.
Yeah, that comes out of that room, and the bonds that are formed in that room matter to me.
Yeah.
And I think Esteban feels the same way. Of like, I don't know if you asked him about it, but like that Combo Breaker room is special.
It's it's something else, honestly. Yeah, he did mention it, and I will say the same thing. And it's part of the reason I come back now. I try and make it back every year to Combo Breaker. That's the only US event I do. To see you guys in that room, well, mainly to see you guys, but also to be in that room to see you guys work. Even if I'm not hired, I'll try and get myself in and ask politely and get and just to say hi. At least say hi to you guys, because I only get to see you guys once a year at this current stage.
Yeah.
And then just to at some points where possible chill when it's not crazy busy. Which, genuinely speaking, Combo Breaker is, in my eyes, a smooth sail. There's not too many things rocking the boat.
Yeah, there's like periods of time of like hectic, and then a lot of okay, cool, we have everything under control.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, a lot of dumb, brilliant ideas come out of that room.
It's honestly, it's a sight to behold. Like just sitting there listening to you guys. And again, if you know, you know. It's why I've got a notebook. Partly why I've got a notebook, and that story will never get told or recorded on air. But
it's one of my favorites.
It's wonderful, and yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, so building out a team, you've got people you've worked with before, the drive, the passion, the love for what they do, and people being able to start from their local, build out to their regional, understanding how to develop and deliver that brand message. I keep saying brand message. I feel like that's the wrong term for it. It sounds very corporate, but I think it's the right thing.
I think it's whatever the experience is, right? I think that there's a misunderstanding that typically happens with events where there's a misunderstanding of what a tournament's social account or an event's social account is meant to do.
Okay.
Right. And I think a lot of people don't take into account or don't ask themselves, what is this account for, or what audience am I serving? Right. So think about it this way, right? For Evo.
Yeah.
What is the Evo social account for during the event?
The people that
who is it for?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, no. So if I'm posting clips for people that can't make it, the people that can't make it that care about Evo are typically watching the stream already. They don't need the clip.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So is it for them? Maybe. Is it for the people on the floor that maybe aren't watching the stream, that are too busy enjoying the event? Maybe. Is it for all the people that just saw what they saw in the arena that want to retweet what they just saw? Maybe. Is it for people that are at home that want to see what's happening on the show floor? So with photos or videos or interviews from the show floor? Maybe. It's all of this stuff, like who are we serving with this account? What is this piece of content or piece of media for? And what are we serving? And who are we serving?
Okay. Right.
What audience is this geared towards? Yeah. Right. So again, the clips could be for the person at home that maybe not watching that, oh, I forgot Evo's on, let me turn it on.
Yeah.
Right. Or it could be just for, oh my God, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Let me retweet or share this with people that aren't watching. Right?
Yeah.
Again, it's trying to figure out, and again, balance who the audiences that you're serving, and making sure that everyone is getting out what they can from this account, and making sure that when someone's going there for something, that they're getting what they're going there for.
Yeah.
And it's, again, predicting and knowing your audience in that way.
Yeah. Okay, cool. No, I understand that. That's definitely food for thought, because after experiencing Combo Breaker as an attendee and seeing you guys in action and delivering, quite honestly, magic, a lot of events that I've been to, especially in the EU, I will say to be slightly lacking on the social media front.
A lot of I would say it's not typical. This is not a unique issue.
No.
I would say 90% of tournaments or 90% of events in general are just clip shows essentially on this social channel.
Yeah.
Where they're just clipping and putting stuff out,
Yeah.
which is totally fine. That's serviceable. That's something that people are used to having. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
No.
I just think that there needs to be an evolution to that, and there needs to be a reason of, can we bridge the experience, the in-person experience and the stream experience? Can we have socials be a stopgap in between where we're bridging the gap between these two experiences?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think that's really important to sort of understand.
Definitely, like, yeah, it's
that it's important to understand that, like, the genre or the social media landscape needs to change in that way and evolve, which it hasn't in a long time.
No, it hasn't. Like, we're only barely just getting through the TikTok era of 16:9 vertical content, clips, videos. Aside from that, we've had no major changes aside from blowouts of Twitter and everyone trying to fight for that space, right? It definitely needs some evolving to be done.
Yeah. And again, like, that gets to another one of my pillars of, like, so I have like 4 core pillars of social media. It's I put in every deck that I have, and I make sure that it's in there. But one of the pillars in there is, like, not raising the ceiling, but raising the floor, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's the idea of, when you talk to a lot of newer social media people, it's about, oh, this meme popped off, or this look at, like, the numbers go burr on this one meme that I sent out. Like, that's what they're proud of, right? And I totally get that. Yeah. For me, the pride comes from, look, our lowest performing post still had over 100 retweets and 1,000 likes, right? Yeah. Like, I want to make sure that the quote unquote boring, non-engaging content is engaging, and that you care about it, and making sure that everything is more in line with each other and feels cohesive, and that you're interested in everything rather than just the one big number.
Yeah.
And there's consistency across the board. So again, the idea of not raising the ceiling, but raising the floor.
Interesting. That's definitely food for thought. You've got 4 pillars. You've given us one. I'm not going to ask you for the secret sauce, because that's your secret. That's how you get hired.
I'm very much a person that, like, you know, you've talked to me enough. Like, oh, yeah. I'm very much if you have questions, I'll teach you everything I know.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of anyone taking my job or anything like that. Again, I'm very happy to, like, help this industry grow, and I want the competition. I want people to take this to another level and push me further. So yeah, if you want the pillar, I'll give you the pillars. Like, another great one is, like, driving the bus, but not determining the destination.
Okay.
So it's the idea of, you're giving people the sandbox, but you're not telling them how to play in it, right?
Yeah.
And so the idea of, if you're asking a question at socials, like, if the question is, what is your favorite Evo moment? Right?
Yeah.
I'm driving the bus. I want this conversation to go in this way, but I don't want to, like, handhold too much. Yeah. So let's pull that back. When we pull that back of, I don't want, like, so the example is, like, I don't want people to just say moment 37.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's post a video or a GIF or a photo of moment 37 and say, well, what other moments, you know, whatever, right? Yeah. I'm giving you some guardrails, but I'm not directly funneling you or stopping you from saying moment 37.
Yeah.
I'm just putting that in your head already, of, we've already mentioned it. Yeah. What else you got? Yeah. Right? And so again, it's ways of, you're driving the bus and you're trying to get them to a certain area, but you're still letting them determine the destination and where that conversation is going to go. That conversation, where, you know, what that conversation is going to be. Okay, right. Yeah. And what we did, the perfect example is what we did with the quotes, right? So I want people to talk about whether or not they like Harry in fighting games.
Yeah.
Right? So, okay, cool. Let's grab a comment of someone talking about whether or not they like Perry and put that in a quote, and then talk and just throw that out there as, like, quote of the day.
Yeah.
And again, hopefully people start talking about the parry and talking about the mechanics and game mechanics they like. And maybe that conversation, maybe that conversation goes to, it turns into this discourse about strike throw rather than parry. It's not exactly where I wanted it, but it's in the same realm of I want people to talk about game mechanics.
Yeah.
Right. And so again, wherever that conversation leads, you're just trying to make sure that doesn't go off the rails.
Yeah.
And go completely in the wrong direction. So you have the wheel, but you're just letting people kind of determine where we're driving today.
Yeah. That's two interesting thoughts. When I listen back on this, when I edit this, it's going to be like, oh man, like there's so much I still need to learn. And there is still so much to learn in regards to everything in life.
Oh, so I learn stuff every day. Again, the other piece of advice I would give anyone that wants to get into this stuff is like, look at the stuff that inspires you and look at the content that you're interacting with and really think about why you're interacting with it and why you care about it.
Yeah. Okay.
I do that stuff all the time. There's a lot of social media people that like I look up to and respect, and the only reason that I've learned who they are and kept a look on their work is because their work inspires me, right?
Can you drop a name if possible?
Yeah. So like I would say Stein's a big one. Stein's the head social media guy at Xbox and Microsoft.
Okay.
So Stein does great work. Regardless of what you think about Microsoft or Xbox as a company, their social media stuff has been brilliant. And so, a lot of the stuff I know gets locked up in like the red tape of working for a company that big. But again, just the creativity and the speed at which they get stuff out, I would say, Stein's a huge inspiration for me. Just taking a look for one of the names. I think Blackbeard's another one. Blackbeard did a lot of stuff he was at Optic before when I met him, but now I think he's at 100 Thieves.
100 Thieves seems to have like swallowed a lot of content creators and deliverers.
Yeah. So again, it's a creativity of not just having content creators, but how do you use them, right? Yeah. And how do you make for each one of their personalities shine? I think Stein does I think Blackbeard does a great job of that.
Cool. Interesting. Right. I'm going to swerve slightly on my next question because I've asked this from Esteban and Rob. I'm going to ask you as well because you've also have worked Evo and Combo Breaker. How long are you actually working the event? Like, I know you are hired by Evo. That's your 9 to 5. I'm not going to fuck with that. But Evo as a event is 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. When do you fly in? When do you fly out?
So my role is slightly different than Esteban and Rob's because there's like a lead up, right? So like Esteban, so to be clear, Esteban and I work full time for Evo.
Yes.
Like 24/7. So our roles are slightly different. So, but in terms of working on the show, it starts, obviously I'm doing it throughout the entire year because it's a little different because you're posting about Evo and lead up through the entire event. But in terms of just Evo specific, like when the rollout starts, I would say it starts about 2 to 3 weeks before the show even rolls out.
Yeah.
And that goes with like the map, the schedule, the artist alley, and again, gathering all of these resources, right? And making sure that everything looks correct and this, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I'd say like a week or two out, making sure we have commentator graphic, like all of that stuff, right? So that's about a 2-week lead up of like, cool, we're now pushing into the marketing of like the event marketing is done.
Yeah.
People that are coming to Evo are already coming to Evo. Now it's about time to talk about the show and what is this, like what's at the show, what can you expect? Here's the schedule, here's the map, here's the commentators, here's the whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So that's about a 2-week lead up up until the Thursday before the show goes live.
Yeah.
When I fly in on a Wednesday. I get to the show floor. I take a lay of the land. Any last minute things, taking photos, getting behind the scenes footage, whatever we can get. And then meeting with the team to figure out roles, responsibilities. And again, I'm also in that 2-week lead up is when we're finalizing. Well, we usually have the partnership stuff finalized, but that's when we're getting final approvals from the partners.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. These posts are good to go. And then I'm able to go ahead and then build out the timeline of cool. We need I need these photos to go with these posts. Okay, Rob, here's the photos that need to go with these posts. I need these photos ready by this, and this time.
Yeah.
Right. Stuff like that. Yeah. So all of that planning is like the 2-week process beforehand. Now, in terms of on the show, I land on the Wednesday, and then I leave the Monday or the Tuesday, depending on whether or not I want to take an extra day to just die and not ton it. But again, then start of the show, it is I'm up at 7. I get there by 7:30, 8 o'clock, prep everything, get everything ready to go, doors open, and then we're leaving at around 11 o'clock midnight.
Yeah.
And then going to get dinner, hanging out for a little bit, and then coming back the next day, same time.
Yeah. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
It hurts, but it's, I say, part of why we do it, because we love it. I won't ask you what your footwear is for events.
The KidLiquid, you gotta know.
Oh, you're wearing KidLiquid? Because I was going to say Hoka's. That was my 2 guesses.
What? No. Our lovely partner KidLiquid. Obviously, we get the KidLiquid Evo shoe that I wear for 2 of the days, and then Sunday I wear the Nike Air Force One Moment 37s.
Oh, nice. I still never got a pair.
You can win a pair right now. If you go to Evo social accounts, you can win a pair of Moment 37s.
Oh, that is. I did see that currently going on. I wasn't sure if it was US only, but depending on when it finishes, if this comes out in time, definitely go check it out and enter the competition. Yeah, I think
plug it.
They've got to plug it, and I'll give you a chance to plug anything else right at the end. But I think my final question, and then I think you can plug anything you want, Chris. One thing people don't realize that you think they need to know about your role in social media and, in events.
I think a lot of people, again, I think it's a misunderstanding of what socials is. And again, it goes back to the thing that I said at the start of like the esports social media intern meme has really hurt this career path because a lot of people don't understand all the stuff that goes into this, right? Yeah. So again, it's not just we get a picture and we post it. It's not just we get a clip and we post it, right? The amount of meetings and calls and discussions that happen beforehand, before anything goes out, gets lost on a lot of people. And again, it's a stuff of we might make an error, we might make a mistake, there might be some things wrong, and we try our best to correct them. But a lot of the times, when these mistakes happen, they happen for a reason, or there's some kind of thing, there's something that's fallen apart through the line that makes that mistake happen. But it's not for a lack of attentiveness. It's not for a lack of awareness. It is something has gone wrong down the line. Something else has failed to make that mistake happen. Now again, does it matter? Not really, because again, once it hits the timeline, it hits the timeline. Again, it's the thing. It's the idea of like the trailer leaked early. What happened? Okay, someone put the wrong time. Yeah, it hit the timeline still, but there's processes before that maybe something happened before that mistake that caused this mistake to happen, where there wasn't checks and balances, right? Yeah. There's something in place that's something that failed beforehand. It's not one person's mistake. It's a team's mistake that when something happens like that.
Yeah.
And so again, it's something that this job's a lot more complex than a lot of people give it credit for. And there's a lot more like juggling and a lot more strategy that goes into this, a lot more thought that goes into this stuff that I think people give it credit for.
Definitely. It's not all memes. It's not an intern doing it. It's not Subway Surfer 24/7.
It could be Subway Surfer.
It could be. But no, there is definitely thought behind the post. And hopefully, you guys, if you have stayed on long enough to listen and watch till the end of this, everything Chris has said, KidLiquid has said, like resonates, and hopefully open your eyes to what social media could be. Not just in fighting games, not just in esports, but everywhere. Like, put a bit more thought behind what you write and what you post before you hit send. Will do the world a favor and a lot of good. I think. Hopefully. Right, Chris, I'm out of questions. You've covered everything I think a first pass should be good for. I will hopefully have some comments to see if people want you back and have more questions for you, or they might even hit you up on social media channels. Hopefully they don't, but just lock them down. Like, I don't want you having.
No, honestly, like I'm always happy to talk with people. I'm always happy to give some advice or help answer questions when I can. Like this, honestly, this is a lot of fun. I had a good time. So thank you for doing all this stuff. I'm excited to see the other episodes because all of these kinds of conversations are conversations that are always like you've been around. We always have all these conversations in private. I always think that, like, you know, this is always a lot of the times it stems from us complaining. A lot of times it stems from us complaining that people don't know this stuff. But I'm glad you're getting it out in the world.
Yeah, I think someone needs to do it. I saw it. There's a chance for me to do something for good for the world, for the community, and hopefully get some young blood in, because we're all a bit old and fragile these days. Definitely. Yeah. So yeah, the average age for us, for the teams, is growing, and we need new people in. So if you guys can learn and do this and step up, all more power to you. So Chris, lastly, anything you want to plug before we wrap this up?
No, I mean, if you want to reach out and ask a question or DM me for whatever advice, I'm always down. So go ahead and shoot over something at KidLiquid and KidLiquid everywhere. And then, go ahead and follow the EvoFGC channels and check out what we're doing. I'm very excited about a lot of the projects that we're working on, a lot of the content we're doing. But again, then listen to all. Even if you listen to only this episode, which you shouldn't, listen to all of these episodes, because again, talking to Esteban, talking to Rob, talking to Drift about some of the other guests that he has coming on, like, these are all people that are extremely talented at what they do, and getting any kind of insights. I think, you know, the more we can educate people on what all these people do and the amount of work that goes into this stuff, I think the better.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you for those kind words. Guys, again, if you stayed this long, thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, drop a comment. Got any questions for Chris or for any of my guests that I've had on, just drop it a comment below. It'd be amazing. And I will catch you guys next episode. Peace.
What? What the hell is that? When I want to go and play Grand Blue Online on stream, I have to be like, hey stream, I'm going to play Grand Blue Online. Is there anybody who's on the West Coast that I can throw a Nerf football to your front lawn? If so, there is a chance we'll have a good connection. And then when I get on Power Rangers or Skullgirls and I'm like, hey, are you on this planet? Are you somewhere in the Milky Way? If so, come through the lobby.
That was a very good call. Nice, good game. That was an extremely good call. I didn't break one linker, and he was ready for it.
Oh, you're playing on a Wi-Fi from Mars? Well, I guess the connection will be fine. GG's. GG's, bro.
Actually, I'm not dead. I still have enough building. Are you kidding me? This game is sick!